It is incredible to think how much has changed in terms of the fun of learning with SuperMemo over the last 40 years. The beginnings compared with today were just horrible. If you wanted to learn something, you had to add the material, say like this button, add new. Then you had to type your question, let's say, what was the role of the sentiment neuron in the development of ChatGPT? And then you had to type the answer. Obviously, you had to know the answer. If you didn't, good luck. Dress up, go to the library, search. Maybe in a week you know what to type. Blah, 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 blah. I have no idea. And this is how SuperMemo worked like for 20 years. So 20 years later, we had incremental reading. We had the browsers. So perhaps we would search for the answer on the internet. So let's try that. Maybe I would search Wikipedia. Is there anything of interest in there? Neural network. Let's hope that could give me some answers. So let's import that to SuperMemo and hope we can learn something from that. Is there anything about sentiment? Sentiment analysis? Perhaps. But still, you need a couple of minutes, perhaps an hour, before you get a good answer, which is suitable for learning. How incremental reading works? You can check out the videos. That's pretty simple and pretty nice. Sentiment analysis, I'll have to read that. But now we have a new era. We have ChatGPT. ChatGPT with incremental reading is the delight squared. Not only you can learn, but you can also remember. Let's ask this question. Interesting and influential role in the early stages of research that eventually contributed to models like ChatGPT, but it was not a direct component of ChatGPT itself, no problem. Amazon product reviews, yeah, I heard about it. Okay, so let's get it to SuperMemo. Copy and paste. I'll use my ChatGPT template. Incremental reading is 25 years old, but it's just the beginning of incremental reading with AI. And it's the beginning of something that's going to be so fantastic and an example of how humans and AI can work together. Let's see how we can learn with this piece. So the sentiment neuron played an interesting visual, but it wasn't direct, okay? Emerged in a 2017 paper titled Learning to Generate Reviews and Discovering Sentiment. I just picked a keyword for my item, so it looked like this. This will be my question and this will be my answer. I will simplify that later. By OpenAI, that's important. The model used LSTM, okay. Trained and supervised. This would be an option, supervised and unsupervised, to be sure that we can answer this on Amazon project reviews. Surprisingly, researchers discovered that a single neuron in the model, out of thousands, captured sentiment in the highly interpreted activity positive and negative. The neuron influence generated text to express positively. Okay, express the sentiment. The neuron became known as the sentiment neuron. Emergent behavior showed a complex interpretive. Emergence. To this day, many neuroscientists don't believe in the grandmother cell. They should study ChatGPT history. Controllability, prevented alien, steered or controlled through. Maybe we'll try it like this. Control ability. Because it may be difficult to pick the right word. Representation learning, continued understanding neural can learn high-level abstractions like sentiment without supervision. Didn't play a role. Influence thinking about emergent properties. Proof of concept of unsupervised. Supervised learning. Continue to help motivate variables into latent variable. This is questionable because we have 3 questions. Latent variables, fine-tuning, controllability. That's a list. But maybe we just ask for an example, like how about the first into one example. Latent variables, fine-tuning, controllability. Okay. Yeah. So I have just generated like 15 items, and they'll be part of my learning. Easy and fun. Okay, in this case, we can simplify the beginning. The sentiment neuron emerged from 2017 paper, blah, blah, blah. When activated positively or negatively, this neuron influences the generated text to express the sentiment, positive or negative. Okay, that's be a simple item. Well, in a minute, I practically understand the whole idea of the sentiment neuron, and I promise you, this is going to be well glued to my memory for years to come. I think I will understand and remember that thing till the end of my day. I was pretty excited about those items, so I reviewed them on the same day. So I simplified them, made them a little bit more sensible. I deleted those which make sense in the end. And now, as a proof of concept, I can show it's very well glued in my memory. So the sentiment neuron emerged from 2017 paper by OpenAI. And by scientists organization, OpenAI just said that. The sentiment emerged. That's not needed. The sentiment neuron emerged. Multiplicative. Long short-term memory, LSTM. Actually, that's the model SuperMemo World uses for its artificial intelligence algorithm trained on SuperMemo algorithm. Now here they are replaced by transformers today, but not for time series forecasting, so not so bad. That's also part of the review. Supervised, unsupervised. On Amazon subject reviews. Discovered that a single neuron captured the sentiment. When activated positive and negative, the neuron influenced the generated text to express the sentiment. The sentiment neuron emerged. Emergent behavior. Controllability. Neuron that could learn high-level abstractions. This item could be problematic. Unique property. Will I really know what I meant? We'll see. High-level abstraction, like sentiment without supervision. Proof of concept that unsupervised learning help motivate for. This will be hard because it's a list. Help motivate further research into one example. So what example? Say controllability. I think latent variables. What was the third one? Fine-tuning? I would not try to remember all of it. Just an example. Hey, isn't it fun?